Shaped by the railways that surround it, this once industrial hub is now mostly residential. But there's lots of reminders of this neighborhood's past. From preserved industrial buildings to heavyweight boxers, this area is one of the most unique and colorful neighborhoods in the city. In this video, we'll explore the streets, trails, and railways, and I'll share some fascinating stories from the past. Welcome to Toronto's Junction Triangle. Hi, I'm Mark, and I make videos about places and experiences here in Canada. As always, I can't cover everything in a single video, so if I miss something, or there's stuff you think viewers should know about, please leave a comment below. I'm no expert, simply curious about the places I visit. So here's what I learned while exploring Toronto's pointiest neighborhood. I'm starting here at Dundas West subway station. It's just outside the triangle. So to get there from the station, I walked east along Bloor Street. Typically, it's not easy to tell when you've crossed from one neighborhood to the next, but in the Junction Triangle, it's pretty obvious. The neighborhood is bound by railway lines on all three sides, so when you cross under or over the tracks, you know you're in the neighborhood. You can also take GO Transit or Up Express and get off at the Bloor GO station. This underpass here is actually the first place I wanted to check out. Probably most people don't really think about the history of overpasses and underpasses, but this area used to be referred to as the Bloor Street West Death Traps. It got its nickname due to the high number of collisions and accidents that happened here. Prior to the 1930s, there was no underpass here, and pedestrians had to negotiate the tracks and traffic on foot. Before the subway was built, Bloor had streetcars, but they would stop at Lansdowne because it was too dangerous and logistically difficult to have the streetcars cross the tracks timed with the passing of the trains. Today, you don't have to contend with railway lines anywhere in the Junction Triangle, even though you're surrounded by them. My next stop is a famous figure around here. Today, it's home to offices and the Museum of Contemporary Art. It's referred to as Tower Automotive, even though that company only occupied the building for a short time. When it was built in 1912, it was one of the tallest buildings in the city. Its first tenant was the Northern Aluminum Company, aka Alcan Inc. The company was here for over 50 years, but like most industry in the Junction Triangle, they moved on. The area's industrial tenants had slowly been leaving since the 1970s, and in their place, artists and entrepreneurs and smaller businesses moved in. The industrial buildings and warehouses made for great studios and galleries. These new tenants and residents helped transform the Junction Triangle into what it is today, and development continues to reframe this neighborhood. According to Heritage Toronto, the art community that helped shape this area is now being pushed out due to development and an increased cost of living due to high demand. Besides the museum, you can still find galleries and studios here, plus coffee shops, new developments, and breweries. Next, I headed north through one of the historic neighborhoods. Here you'll find one of the first industrial operations of the neighborhood. Many more factories would open around here and take advantage of the proximity to the railways. A lot of older homes in the area developed alongside the factories. As the businesses grew, many factory workers moved into the homes nearby. Many of those were immigrants from Ukraine, Macedonia, Italy, Poland, and Portugal. I continued north toward the northeastern edge of the Junction Triangle. While some creative businesses have left the area, there are newer ones filling the gap. Today you can find VFX studios, film studios, recording studios, drama schools, and other film and TV related businesses here. Another notable spot here is the Canadian General Electric Water Tower, built around 1922. It's technically outside the Junction Triangle boundary, but it's also a defining characteristic of the skyline here. This railway line is the Metrolink's GO Transit line at the eastern boundary. To the north, just beyond Dupont St, is the Canadian Pacific Railway east-west line. The western boundary is defined by the CPR main line, which we'll get to shortly. Here on Dupont is where you'll find the main commercial and retail area for the neighborhood, with public services, restaurants, and shops, and a newer looking library branch too. If you follow Dupont west, you'll of course reach another railway underpass, and this is where the Junction Triangle's story really begins. But we have to go back over 12,000 years. For millennia, people and goods have moved through this area. What is now the CPR main line was once an important trade route for First Nations people. It's honestly fascinating to me that people have been using this trade route for thousands of years. I have a tendency to think of Canadian history as being relatively recent compared to our ancestors from other parts of the world. But the human history of Canada is truly mind-blowing when you really wrap your head around the sheer scale of time that people have been living and traveling across this country. I continued south, roughly following the western boundary of the neighborhood. Passing another VFX studio, eventually I reached the neighborhood's community hub, the George Chavallo Neighborhood Center. Receiving the Order of Canada in 1998, Chavallo is a local hero, an undefeated Canadian heavyweight champ. Chavallo retired from boxing in 1979 and dedicated much of his time to his community and youth drug prevention. Along this western edge of the neighborhood, you'll find the Toronto Railpath. This recreational trail runs the entire length of the neighborhood. A highlight here is the Wallace Avenue Pedestrian Bridge. This local landmark was built in 1907. When the railway tracks were laid in the 1800s, the area was still rural. But over the decades, the city and the neighborhood built up around the tracks. For residents, the only way across was north at Dupont or south at Bloor. Incredibly, this is the original bridge, and you'll get great views of the city from here, especially at sunset. This neighborhood is a really pleasant place to be, and if you're okay with the train noise, it would make a great place to live as well. But that wasn't always the case. For residents who live here now, this may be unwanted information if you don't already know, but this area was once one of the most toxic industrial areas in the country. And we're not talking about way back in the early 1900s. This was a problem into the 1980s. Residents complained to the city about horrible smells and health problems due to decades of industrial operations, including paint and varnish manufacturers that produced terrible pollution. And that was made significantly worse when, in 1982, the neighborhood experienced one of the worst chemical spills in the area's history. An employee at Neighbourhood Products had miscalculated when mixing some raw chemicals. He attempted to cover up his mistake by dumping 4,000 liters of toxic chemicals down the sewer. He, of course, did not get away with it. The next day, residents complained about awful smells coming from the sewers. Schools were closed, and some residents were hospitalized from the noxious fumes. Another incident occurred the year after, when 2,000 liters of chemicals accidentally drained into the sewers. These incidents, plus the decades of industrial operations, turned some parts of the Junction Triangle into some of the most contaminated land in Canada. It wasn't until 2009 that places like the Neighbourhood Products site was deemed safe for residents. Today, Junction Triangle is a thriving community with new home developments and great access to citywide and region-wide transit. From an industrial hub to a family neighborhood, Junction Triangle is a great example of how city neighborhoods can be reimagined over the decades. It's amazing to learn about how much a community can transform and take on a unique identity while still being part of a metropolis like Toronto. That's one of the reasons it's so fun to explore Toronto neighborhoods, because there's so much diversity across this city. I left the Junction Triangle on the Up Express from Bloor Station, following the trade routes that have been traveled by people for thousands of years before me. If you're still watching and you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching. See ya.